I cannot tell them I am anthropologist.
I'd like to ask them really personal questions. Clearly you are a spy.
And then the men come out of their huts with spears.
So we started starving, seriously starving.
Because my arrow cannot fly like that, you know.
And it got worse and worse.
But after a while, I realized I've got a problem. I've got to find a toilet. When I first arrived in Cameroon, I was 25 years old, and I was going through a orientation where they sent us out to live in a village for 3 weeks. Myself and 2 other new arrivals, also students. And we went, and we had a village host. And he was showing us around. And he was so proud of us, he would take us to the other villages, and they would have little parties for us, you know, because this was a novelty for them. And so we would go, and we just kind of saw our role as to entertain people, you know, as best we could. And one of our friends, he knew how to juggle, and I knew how to get into strange situations, you know. So I'm going to tell you about one. So we went to this one village. We had to walk about 10 kilometers through a desert. This was in the northern part of Cameroon, near Lake Chad. And when we got there, the people were very happy, and they had a little party for us, and they had 2 pots of meat that you could dip into. You had a little bit of millet fufu, and you could dip into the meat. And I thought they gave us 1 pot, and they had 1 pot for themselves over there. I thought, well, I want to try the local thing, you know. So I said, well, this is really an unusual taste. I'd never had that before. I kind of like it. So after I'd had a nice meal and we were heading home, I asked our village host, Abraham, well, what was that spice in that second pot? Oh, he said, well, that's the rotten meat. He said, the really special meat, they put it out for a week out in the sun, and it's really strong tasting. I'm surprised you like that. And so we were walking. I started to feel a little sick, and I started to feel really sick. And I finally, you know, my friends, they were like, oh, Dan, he's just being slow again. So they walked on ahead. And our host, he stayed with me. And after a certain point, I just doubled over and I rolled under a little thorn bush. And he said, they've killed my white. I can't believe it. What am I going to do? And he wanted to go back and argue with them, but he couldn't leave me. And so he was trying to think of what to do with me. And then a motorcycle comes up, because we're on a little path. And he talks to the guy, and this guy takes me and he drops me off nearer to this village we're staying at with these people I don't know. And when he pulls up, he just drops me off. I roll into the shadows, and these people say, what did you bring this guy here for? And they're like, well, I don't know. So Abraham comes, and by that time I'm feeling a little better. I can stand up, and I'm able to walk the rest of the way. But after a while, I realized I've got a problem. I've got to find a toilet. But there's only 1 toilet in the village, and that's what Abraham dug for us, because he knew we were coming. And I'm like, I've got to get to that toilet. So I say, Abraham, which one's our house? Which one's our house? Oh, it's up ahead. Take it slow. I'm like, no, I have to get there. So I start running, going faster and faster, and then I start moaning. Whoa, and I'm staggering. And then the bunch of women holding these big things of water on their head come around a corner. They see me, and they throw down their water and start running. And I'm running after and going, whoa! And then the men come out of their huts with spears, and they're chasing me, and I'm chasing the women. And we all come to the pit toilet, and I run in there. And then here I am, you know, finally, relief. And all the village is gathered around Abraham. Abraham, what's happened? He said, well, you know, those people, they like to do jogging. That's what they call jogging, and so it's okay. You can never explain what they do. So that was my entertainment I gave to them that night.
No, I'm going to give you a story from my early fieldwork in northeastern Siberia in 1999, the most troublesome time of post-socialist Russia. And the setting is really northern Yakutia, a very desolated area where I studied Yukagir hunters. And at that time, the entire fur business had collapsed. These people are living from hunting sable fur. And it had been taken over by a mafioso company that underpaid them. And at that time, I was an idealistic person. I kind of skipped that ever since. But I thought to myself, well, why not organize a cooperative among these hunters so they can export their sable furs to Denmark and then get the full profit for their furs. But I didn't think about the sort of mafia that then that then got really annoyed and put an arrest order on me. So the point is, the setting is the wilderness where I had to flee out and to avoid getting arrested. And I was transported there by a very experienced Yukagir hunter called Jura. And I was to live there together with a very inexperienced Yakut hunter called Ivan. So Ivan and I were left at an old cabin that was built in the 50s, and we were going to hunt there until things settled down. And Jura had killed a moose for us that we should eat while waiting for him to return. But the problem was that we got so involved in sable hunting that we forgot to build a platform for the moose meat. And the moose meat was then eaten by a wolverine, so we had nothing to eat, yeah. And that actually gave serious problems because you burn a lot of energy while living out there. So we started starving, seriously starving, and it got worse and worse. And then during the night in this small cabin, I had a strange dream that changed my life. Because I dreamt that I came to this very cabin that we were sleeping in, and in the cabin stood a woman, a native woman, naked with long hair, and she was smiling at me, pointing to the bed where I usually sleep. And I went over there and saw there was a child there, wrapped in fur. But from the eye of the child was running blood. And I turned horrified towards this woman who kept smiling and just pulled my body towards hers. And I could feel the milk from her breast running, yeah. And I was so hungry that I took the breast and started sucking the milk, you know? And not only that, after a while, I ate her too. And then I woke up really disturbed, and I thought to myself, what is this dream about? You know, is it, you know, these Arctic explorers, they have these, stories about who is going to carry the gun, because you never know if you're going to shoot your mate and eat him. So I looked over at Ivan and thought, is this what it's about? Am I prepared to eat Ivan? But he really didn't look very, appetizing. And I thought to myself, well, this dream wants something from me, yeah? So I thought, well, now I'll pull myself together and use the last strength and go hunting. I had a feeling that there must be something in the end. And I put on my skis and went off. And went for a long time, and there was no signs of tracks or anything, and I just went and went. And suddenly I heard this strange noise, you know, behind some willow bushes, like, and first I thought it was a bear, you know, because we had actually seen tracks of bears, even if it's in the winter time. And there's a particular term for that kind of bear called chatun, which is very dangerous because it can't sleep it, and it's gonna eat everything and anything. So I thought, it's the bear, let me get away, you know, but then I thought, well, whatever it is, it has to die. So that's the end, I'm afraid.
Good evening. My name is Mayo Buenofe. I am from the Philippines. I'm an indigenous scholar, so unlike the first round, this might be a little serious. So, my grandmother is from the Kiangan tribe in Ifugao, and my grandfather is from the Tingyan tribe in Abra, and I do work with the Acta hunter-gatherers in Isabela. And I don't know if you researchers have experienced having to go through the free, prior, and informed consent process to obtain, of course, the consent with your community to do research. And in my country, it's a corrupt system, basically, that is handled by a government agency. And in my frustration of having to obtain the FPIC through their guidelines, I was very angry, and I wrote this poem. Okay, it's called FPIC, under the new guidelines. I, Sally do my, DY, Sally do my, DY. The truth is exposed to you in that subtle, roundabout way, masked in some kind of self-righteous humility, condolences for your pity, kawawa me mentalities, and restricted their potentialities to 8 to 5 p.m. in air-conditioned offices that filed the correct paperwork to hang tarpaulin signage that promises protection of indigenous rights. They know how to recite them laws real sing-song like we were some ignoramus sidekick Disney animals, and they were the only ones who could make us human again for our happily ever after. More human than ourselves if we can sing that song exactly like them, in the same language that said, "You are not humans, you will always be animals." So now, you're gonna tell me exactly how much to put in that envelope, that legal amount for me to learn and develop my own people? Yo, you can't even go to the bathroom where we go to the bathroom. Handout number 1, for per diems and transportation. Handout number 2, need at least 3 staff to help with mobilization. And their rationalization, they are sworn by oath to take minutes of the proceedings, but under their breath complain about the accommodations. So it's all just and fair that students gotta pay you to conduct transparent consultations? Watch out, cause hell yeah, now y'all are in the hoodest of all hoods. No electricity, no running water, carrying school chairs on their backs and scraping the jungle and rivers for your food. Liquor and cigarettes and diesel and chainsaws are multi-purpose commodities, and the kids draw pictures of bulldozers and timber trucks using the charcoal on the side of their makeshift houses. We real gangsters now. So how are you gonna promise me that you are guarding me? What is it you do with all of our stories? Telling me it'll be easier if I abide to the laws and pay up, just like them. Then y'all dayo gonna come here to the ancestors' land and ask for our free, prior, and informed consent? Free for who? Fees for what? Prior to what was written by those who don't even know our names. Informed us how? Consent through you. Not what we said, but what you want us to do. Say yes, make it easy, place a thumb mark on that piece of paper. We cannot read your meanings if you don't live through ours. Could you even live through our truth? Exposed to you in that stark and intense, in your face, through your bones kind of way? Because the name written on their documents is not mine. The combination of first, middle, and last was created by the colonial surrogates who usurped the identity of my ancestors. But we know our own names. We scream it out in every machete, pen, paper, dance, weave, tapestry, chant, grandma's recipes, and the lullabies sung to our children. We never forget where we come from and what we must do now, what we will do here. Our name is in our song of freedom and justice, and we always know how to smile, and we never forget how to sing. Thank you.
Fieldwork tips from the world's best anthropologist. So, a little about me. I was practically born being an anthropologist. My parents told me to go far. So I kept walking all the way to Nepal. Nice, quiet Nepal, where I found out they don't speak English or German. And so I found out that I really learn languages easily. And here's your first tip. Just repeat what they say. Like if they say, Tapai, namaste, kostacha, just say it fast, really fast. Namaste, kostacha. Okay? They'll think you learn everything really, really great. And now down to work, I'm going to give you your first fieldwork lesson, okay? This lesson is about finding your people, okay? When I go to meet my people, for the first time, I'm not scared of meeting new people at all. I like to ask them really personal questions, okay? So I ask them questions, and you guys, do you have your yellow Write in the Rain notebooks? Well, losers. Okay. Anyway, write these down. Things like, you can ask them, are you related to the naked savages over on the next hill? Do you know any missionaries? Did they teach you the missionary style? No. Okay, so you're nomadic? Yeah, but like, where are you really from? If you only hunt monkey, then why are you carrying a wild pig in your bag? And did you just go poop next to the camp? Yeah, I see that a lot. So these are really good questions that you guys should all write down in your yellow Write in the Rain notebooks, wherever you guys, I don't know where you forgot them. Okay, the next thing we need to learn, our second lesson, is love your work, okay? So let's talk about loving your work and how to get amazing informants, okay? Yeah. You know, not everybody's going to be an amazing informant. They should have some talents, you know? Like you have to learn talents. So here are a few talents to look for in a really good informant. First, they have to be really good about telling secrets about other people. Okay? Yeah. And of course, they should be really cute and muscular. And then, of course, you want them to be able to jump in front of wild animals if they're attacking you. You know, like wild water buffaloes. Ooh, they're scary. But sometimes your key informants, they can cause problems. So here's how you should change them. Remember, you have to change people sometimes. First, are they disagreeable? Just yell at them until they give you the right answers. Okay, that's good. Jeez. Do they flee or run away? What I do is I build a big pit, you know, like 10 foot deep for tigers, and I put some poles in the bottom. They're really sharp, and then you just pull them in. Okay, so that's the end of the lessons today. Remember, honor your elders and tip your waiters.
So I call this one, oh, like, you're like totally like a spy. Or translated into English, oh, so you're a spy. This is a tale from my days as a doctoral student on Sakhalin Island. And I'm a geologist turned geographer, by the way. So, sorry. I was working on Sakhalin Island researching perceptions and uses of resources by multiple user groups, meaning transnational oil company workers, indigenous people, local people, ex-Soviet, post-Soviet, whatever you want to call them, people who would talk to me. I talked with indigenous and local peoples, workers of all different sorts from transnational oil companies about their understandings of all kinds of resources and sustainability on Sakhalin: forest, fish, oil, and gas. It goes something like this. Hello, my name is Jessica, and I am a graduate student researching perceptions and uses of nature by people living on Sakhalin Island. May I talk with you about this topic? Or, здравствуйте, меня зовут Джессика, я кандидат наук, и так далее, and so on. Могу ли я с вами поговорить? To which the response was interest, but wariness from many Russian-speaking people. Oh, so you're American? Are you sure? Your Russian is so good. Why is your Russian so good? Why are you interested in this topic? How did you get here and where are you staying? You must be a spy. And for many foreigners working on Sakhalin, mostly, here go my notes. So much for high-tech notes. And for many foreigners working on Sakhalin, mostly in the oil and gas industry, and mostly from the UK or Canada, oh, so you're American. Why is your English so unaccented? It sounds so foreign. Why are you interested in this topic? Are you sure you're not working for one of the companies? If you're not Russian and not working for my company, you must be working for one of the other companies. Clearly, you are a spy. So how did I work to convince people that I was not a spy? There were many ways, most of which involved, quite simply, time spent being seen in multiple places by multiple kinds of people. And like talking in Valley Girl like whenever I could, so I could really prove that I was like totally American. I went to cafes and nightclubs. Yes, I did my work in nightclubs. People's homes and English-speaking clubs. I baked pineapple upside-down cake and chocolate chip cookies to take to clubs. The biggest in, by far, was gained when I shared jam from my hometown with local indigenous peoples I met. This may not sound like a big deal, but a big part of the culture in Russia and on Sakhalin was to eat jam with cookies or crackers in the mid-afternoon tea time. Now, I'm from Arizona, so I had brought cactus jam with me, along with pictures to show just exactly what kind of cactus this jam had been taken from. This was a really big hit and like totally proved I could do the Valley Girl talk, that I was American, and proved that I was just a regular doctoral student. Because who else is going to carry around pictures of cactus with the jam that they brought from home to share with all of the wonderful field participants that they met? So once we'd gotten past the fact that I was not a spy and that I was purely interested in questions related to scientific research, then they would open up and tell me the most wonderful stories about people and places and ideas about uses of resources. And to think all it took was like just a little bit of jam to make it stick.
And I'm an adopted member of the Inupiaq people in Arctic Alaska. And I'm a cultural geographer by training. And I'm from Oberlin College in Ohio, just in case you're curious. Okay, so I've been collaborating with the Inupiaq people for over the past 12 years, studying climate change and cultural resilience of indigenous peoples above the Arctic Circle. And as many of you probably already know, the most important creature for the Inupiaq people is the bowhead whale, which is central to their cultural and physical survival. Now, when I first went to the Arctic, which is 13 years ago from now, I was in my early 20s, young, naive, and probably a little more cuter. I knew nobody, and I had nowhere to stay. But people were really generous, and they took me in. And good news is that, the family that I stayed with hunted a whale successfully. And now it's time for them to organize a feast to feed the entire community, which is 4,000 people. Yay, right. It's a huge, huge reciprocity and feast. I was excited. So that morning, I was working closely with my adopted family members, butchering the whale meat. Right. And there was a huge Inupiaq man approaching to me and asked me who my parents are. Apparently, he thought I was an Inupiaq girl who was raised in an urban setting and came to visit Barrow. And I told him that, well, my parents are Shoichi and Kazuko, and they live in Japan. And he was wondering, how come you look like us? And I asked him, how come you look like us, you know? And then he just said that, okay, young lady, do you want to learn our language, which is Inupiaq? And I, of course, said, yes, 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 I'm looking for a teacher. And he said, I will be very happy to be your teacher. Here's your first word, kuninga, repeat after me, he said. So I repeated it, and I memorized it, I wrote it down, and that morning, whenever I met somebody new in the village, I repeated the word saying, good morning, I'm kuninga, okay, it's kuninga, I'm Chia. And people were looking at me in the weirdest way. And one of the elders came to me and he kissed me and he hugged me very strongly. And I was thinking, okay. And then my friend, Inupiaq friend came, it's a guy, and I said, Nasuk, kuninga. And he said, oh, sorry, Chia, I can't do it, I'm married. What did I just say? What did I just say? And okay, the previous big Inupiaq guy came to me and said, aha, it worked out. And I asked him, what does it really mean? Well, okay, it really doesn't mean good morning, but it means kiss me. Oh, so I was just repeating this phrase to everybody saying, kiss me, I'm Chia. Okay, and the following day, I woke up from this shock and I was on my way to the post office. And there were several kids just on their bikes and trying to pass me by, and they just turned around with the biggest smiles on their faces and said, good morning, Kuninga. And sure enough, Kuninga became my Inupiaq name. I still go by Kuninga, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be the Kuninga, and the lesson that I learned as a cultural geographer is the importance of humor among indigenous peoples. It really, really, really helps people open up their mind with laughter, good spirits, and help them accept this newcomer who came all the way from Japan to become part of them. So I see this as a very, very positive step for me to be incorporated into the Inupiaq cultural fabric. And I'm really appreciative of it. And by the way, this big Inupiaq guy who gave me this lesson, his name is Roy Nagayak. He's a successful whaling captain in Barrow, Alaska, and who is now my host father. I admire Roy. Kuenakpak. Thank you.
For my second field stay, I ordered a crossbow from America. So my idea was, actually it's a national park, but there are so many poachers, so one more or less is... and actually, the Thai people, so the national park officers, they regard the crossbow as a toy, So, and my second stay was very exciting. I had an assistant as the linguist, also from a minority in Thailand, Hmong people, woman, and and we moved with the people to a rock shelter. It was very nice place, and then we were cooking the dinner. And then I had the idea, I have to explain them why I come there again and again. I cannot tell them I'm an anthropologist. Nobody knows among the money who is an anthropologist. So I told them once, years ago, I was living across the sea, Tasik, in Sumatra. And there I learned to speak the language of the Batak. And they looked at me, Batak? And you're still alive? Why? Yeah, you have to know, Batak people is eating people. And that's true, I'm married with a Batak woman from Sumatra, and they are really famous for their cannibalism. And the Mani really believe there are two cannibals, Batak and Hamnit. Batak is not so bad because they are only eating people, but Hamnit looks like you, they told me. Tall, has an axe, stone, and he normally marries a Mani woman. And then if they have children growing up, if they already tall enough, he eats all of them. Yeah? Hamnit, how? And then, I was, bringing always pictures, and especially pictures made by Shibesta, who worked among the Chahai. And they have very beautiful bows and blowpipes, decorated one. And the Mani, they have only blowpipes, but without any decoration. So they were really looking at these bows, the drawings, and the blowpipes. But the blowpipes so long, and so in order to see the decoration, Shibesta cut the bows and the arrows and the blowpipes. So, and they said, really beautiful, they told me, but very pity, all of these bows and blowpipes broken. Yeah. So this is yeah. And then there was another story with my with my crossbow. This was the second year. I told him I want to hunt pigs, but in the forest it's so difficult. If you shoot, and my arrow, 35 grams. No, it's okay.
Do you ever go to the field and then you're interviewing someone and then it's like they say something and it's so powerful, it almost sounds poetic? So I went through my fieldwork notes and I lifted lines that my informants had told me that really super struck me from Kiangan Ifugao, from the Lakota and Omaha in the United States, and from the Agda hunter-gatherers. So I combined them all together, and this is what I got. It's called Tribal Conversations, Kapwatid. Haon hi ipugo. My name is from the hills, descendant of Bugan and Wigan, child of the god of the sky world, who taught us how to construct the terraced rice fields that leads to the heavens. Ahi bakul, the bulul was brought out, and the ancestor inside is one good spirit. This is why its power cannot change. It knows where it comes from. Nanino nabaki, witness to the rituals, offer the rice cakes, bathe it in chicken's blood, and say your thanks for the blessings, for the food, for it to be presented and shared, for it never to be sold. Mumbaki munhapud munpaud, of wealth or not, the whole ili is needed to attain the ili's needs, reminds the ancestors mita koye oyasin. All my relations, carry them within you. Enter the house made of mud and wood and crawl east. Follow the path of the sun. Pray in darkness with your darkness to shed tears that evaporate from the heated stones. The smoke lifts your request back towards Mitakoye Oyasin. All my relations, reunited again, the smudging of the past, the heartbeat of the present, the breath of your future. Inhale, exhale, as you become an embodiment of time. Your flesh and bones are only water, sheltered in earth. But it is that tough and tattered, woven spirit that makes it past the third door. Leave only when you hear the light swell inside, radiate out, and carry it within. Carry it within you always, all my relations, mitakoye oyasin. 4 days after a baby is born, we give them an Indian name. You need to know when you are being called to go back home, so your spirit does not wander all over the reservation, all over and over. You will wonder why you wander. You are called to know where you can belong. Keep your door open. Keep your fire going in the house. Keep a place for all people to come and take their rest and then go on again. Let them know that they can come and eat your leftovers. There is no need to ask for anything because everything here is handed down. You will go to the places that most will never want to enter. And you will live with the people that almost everyone forgot or wants to forget. But you, it's not because you cannot forget. It's because you will not know how you can forget. That you need to face all that you need to go back to. And you will return when all of those medicines and solutions you were taught outside no longer work. Babalik ka rin sa loob, sa ugat, sa buto. You will return inside, in your roots, in your bones. Babalik ka rin dito. You will return once again here. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you're ready for Kuninga's continuous saga in the Arctic, episode 2. All right, so here I am, sitting here in front of you at the University of Vienna. Okay, let's switch the gear a little bit here. I would like to talk a little bit about my secondary research that has to do with the community-partnered music heritage repatriation project that I've been working with Columbia University for the past 10 years or so. During my first year in Arctic, Alaska, I received a very random email from a guy named Aaron Fox. He's an ethnomusicologist at Columbia University, and he asked me if I would be interested in helping him repatriate music recordings that were made in Barrow, Alaska, my research community, in the 1940s. It took me a while before I decided, what does he want? You know, I've heard so many horror stories between anthropologists and indigenous communities in the past. But as a cultural geographer who's firmly rooted in the soil of Arctic tundra, I always wanted to do something to reciprocate with the Inupiat community that have been so nice and generous to me, including giving me this Inupiat name, Kuninga. So after I spoke with Aaron on the phone, I felt, this is a wonderful person, and he's got a fantastic project in his mind. To make a long story short, what Columbia University, that's in New York, in the United States, what they have is, the recording that was made in 1946 by a woman, folk music collector named Laura Bolton. You know, in the 1940s, that was the era of infamous Salvation anthropology, right? Indigenous cultures are fading because they immersed into the cultural mainstream all over the world. So the mission of anthropologists was to preserve them as much as possible. So Laura thought she was doing something good by recording indigenous music from Arctic Alaska. She went there, she was treated very nicely by Inupiat people, and she recorded 120 songs and several stories. And what she did was, she was really excited after the trip. She returned to New York, and she dropped everything on the bookshelf at Columbia University, and she went off on her next journey to Africa to do something similar. Wow. And what happened to the music? Nobody remembered it for the following 60 years. Yeah, until Aaron found it. So that's, how we connected. And Aaron and I made our first trip together to Arctic Alaska 10 years ago, and we explained the project to our Inupiat colleagues and friends and villagers. And at the beginning, we are very concerned, thinking, repatriation is great. But the bottom line is that Laura Bolton, folk music collector and anthropologist, she stole the music of the Inupiat community and just put them away, and nobody remembered it. So how are we going to be treated? Are we going to be beaten up? Well, the reaction of the community was really phenomenal. That is, everybody was so appreciative of what we are doing. And when we were walking down the street in the village of Barrow, there were several kids coming down to us and saying, "Oh, you guys brought our great-great-grandparents' songs back to us. Thank you so much." And it was such an emotional moment for both of us. We felt like we're doing something really good to the community, and then what was so sorry, I'm getting emotional. What was so good to us was that they're trying to reincorporate these historical songs that have once disappeared from the community into the cultural fabric of the people. Can I beg for 30 more seconds?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so they started a very young dance group called Tagayugumut. The name means the people of the ocean. And they started reintroduce these songs once were disappeared from the community. So now they're introducing the new twist into these old tunes, trying to reinforce their cultural identity at this time of environmental uncertainty. And they have a very big music feast called Kivugek every 2 years. That's an intertribal feast above the Arctic Circle. Everybody's invited. And Aaron and I were invited to this feast, and we were called to the stage to dance with the people because they wanted to honor what we were doing for the community. And it was such a rewarding and emotional moment for both of us. And of course, I was nervous, right? As a novice of Inupiat culture, I'm adopted, but my dance skills are very limited. You know, Japanese people are not the best dancer in the world. So I was doing something like, agi agi ha, agi agi ha, agi agi ha, agi agi ha. I was doing my best, right? And people screamed. There was one lady screaming, "Kuninga, do it again!" And okay, I told my students, back then I was teaching at the University of Oklahoma, that the Kivugik will be broadcasted online. So make sure to watch it as much as you can. And of course the camera was just filming it, my dancing throughout, and my students heard that Kuninga, and they asked me what it really means. So I had to share all the stories, that exactly what I shared with you 30 minutes ago. And then this repatriation story, my students really appreciated it. And I'm going back to Alaska in November this year, and I'm very, very grateful that my relationship with the village is growing as much as I'm growing as a scholar, activist, and a person. So thank you so much. Dankeschön.
I have to start first with my wife. She is an indigenous from the Toba Batak. And because of her, I became interested in cognitive concepts, and domains like color terminology, kinship, numerical systems, and so on. So our discussions like that, I had to explain her the political scene and parties in Austria. And she has a color terminology with only 5 terms, basic color terms. So black and blue are not distinguished. This is one term, Büro. So I told her, we have here the red one, the socialists, the blue one, the right wings, and the black one, the conservative. And she told me, if I would be president here as Batak, I would ask which one we should eliminate. The blue one or the black one? And then I think it was in 2004, at night, 4 o'clock, I was Googling, and so there was an article, Counting Without Words, written by a behavioral psychologist, whatever this is, from America, in New York, Peter Gordon. And he worked together with Daniel Everett, who wrote a very interesting book. It's a popular book, but with a very interesting article, title. It's Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes. So that means good night in Pitaha language. This is in the Amazonian jungle. So I became interested in these numerical systems because many people, they have the same numerical system as the Pitaha of the Amazonian basin. You know, they have, in the strict sense of the word, they have no numerals, but in order to simplify it, one, two, many, finish. You know, so, and now, you know, the many people come into contact with the Thai people, and so they think the Thai numerical system is more prestigious, higher. So once I asked a couple, you know, living in a camp, and there were formerly 5 people, and they heard it from the Thai Hakun, 5 people, you know. So, and then I passed this camp and I asked them, how many people in your camp? They said, Hakun. So this is very interesting, you know. Yeah, you know, I have short stories only. It's better for the time limit, you know. So I continue my first story, so half story about the crossbow, you know. Because it was an expensive crossbow. I ordered it through Amazon, I think, from America. And you know, and when I had this crossbow, you know, we were already in the deep jungle. I asked the Mani, you know, let us go to hunt and show me a good place where are not so many trees, because my arrow cannot fly like that, you know. 35 gram, flies 105 meters per second. You know, so then we have to get a cow, the wild pig. So they took me to a river with many rocks. So, and I was putting my crossbow on the rock and waiting there half an hour. And then I asked them, no pigs? They said, yes, no pigs, because rain season. They have enough fruits and water, so they have not to come down.
I never saw somebody being so happy about this ringtone.